In this edition of Southern Newsweek, Warrington's famous flying saucer is up for sale. Invercargill's bowlers protest the loss of their venue. And a new South Island record for electric cars. Hello, I'm Melissa Barton. A Warrington landmark, the UFO house, is up for sale for the first time in 4 years. Owner Juanita Clearwater posted the one-room dwelling on Monday and says the amount of interest has been out of this world.
This alien craft landed in the Otago coastal settlement of Warrington in 1975. It's been owned by several humans since being built in Christchurch in 1972. One Otago man has been helping look after the terrestrial landing craft since its arrival in Warrington.
Well, I was first introduced to the place by the original owners who put it on the property, and they had it for many years and brought up 2 young children in here. When the room ran out inside, they took the wee bunks out that the children had been in and put them into a caravan on the lawn here, and that then stayed there until such time as the fellow from Auckland bought the spaceship, and he then only would only use it about once a year, probably.
John Tomlin says the Futuro house was designed in Finland by architect Matti Sorinen, and such craft have landed around the globe.
And they were used in the Antarctic. So that's as much as I know about their past history, but there are books out there that relates the whole history of them, and there is quite a number of them scattered throughout the world, all different countries, officially known as the Futura.
Current owner Juanita Clearwater put her Warrington house on the market at the start of the week, and within 24 hours has received more than 12,000 hits. She bought the rare Futuro 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom house from previous owner, Auckland businessman Grant Major, in about 2013. As for caretaker John Tomlins, he's not fazed by the amount of interest in the orbital dwelling, and says many generations of people have enjoyed it.
Generations of people have stopped to look at it, and people even getting up to my caretaking sort of vintage. When they were children, it was still around then, so yes, it's been around for a long time, but it is an icon, and photographed a lot by passing tourists.
The UFO house has a rateable value of just over $200,000, and Juanita Clearwater is keen to sell the building to someone who will keep it planted firmly on Warrington's terra firma. Daryl Baser, The South Today.
An art exhibition in Timaru is showcasing one artist's journey from earthquake-torn Christchurch to her new home in Timaru. The South Today went to the gallery and met the artist involved.
Artist Judith Cordo moved to Timaru following the destruction wrought by the Christchurch earthquakes 7 years ago. Her artworks on display at the Agenty Art Gallery are inspired by personal experience, and she feels her art can help explain what is hard to put in words.
Many artists have a language where we have to say something, like the wizard in the square in Christchurch. He got up on his ladder and said, "Hear ye, hear ye." Well, I'm saying, look, this is what I've been through. Look what I talk about, and I use these little abstract symbols, and they're in every work, and it's up to you to work out what they're about. I don't mind what you think they're about. I know what they're about. Every little mark means something.
Many of the paintings on display resonate with vibrant colour, and Cordo is very happy to be now living in Timaru, as her colourful painting Living the Dream illustrates.
I found a lovely home in Timaru, and you know, the stars at night shine, the flags fly, the birds, the washing, the flowers in the garden, the cats, some sort of a vehicle. It's even got a flag flying with hearts, the ice cream. Oh, it's just wonderful to be alive.
The exhibition Unexpected World runs until mid-October. Rudy Adrian, The South Today.
Members of the Invercargill Citizens Bowling Club marched to the City Council to fight for their club. Club members were told last month the lease on their hall on Devon Street would not be renewed when it expires on March the 31st, 2018. Sharon Rees followed the protest march.
Don't sell our hall! "Don't sell our hall" was the message members of the Invercargill Citizens Bowling Club were delivering to the City Council today. Members were told on August 2nd that the council was considering selling both the hall and its neighbouring No. 10 Youth Health Centre to make way for redevelopment.
The ladies said they're not renewing our lease. We've got to be out of here by the 31st of March next year. They're going to build a medical centre on here, 3 stories. They're taking us out, the hall next door and No. 10.
So today, club members made signs for an official march to City Council.
We're marching around to the City Council building asking for Richard King to come out and answer our questions regarding this hall. They want to sell it and take away probably the only outings that 90% of these elderly people have each week, to get out and meet other people by coming here to bowl.
The group marched just around the corner to City Council and were met by Chief Executive Richard King, who invited them in out of the rain.
Certainly for the bowling club and No. 10, we made a judgment call and tried to give you adequate notice. I think for the bowling club it was something like 8 months. And we've had...
No, Mr. King, we didn't find out till the 2nd of August.
Many of the members voiced their opinions to King.
The thing is, what are you going to do with the senior citizens of this bloody town in the meantime? Where are we going to go to bowls?
King said another venue was being sought for the club, but members felt the meeting got them nowhere.
If they come to us at the end of this month and say this is the building and we think it's suitable, we go and have a look, and it is, and we can say, right, we'll put the green down and we'll go. But until he tells us where these buildings are, anything he said today is not acceptable.
Club members have already started a petition and say they will continue to fight the council's plans. I'm Sharon Rees for the South Today.
Last weekend saw a very large gathering of electric-powered vehicles outside Dunedin's Forsyth Bar Stadium. The South Today went for a look.
More electric cars than you can shake a stick at. Despite the steep roads in Dunedin, the locals have clearly not balked at becoming proud owners of electric-powered cars.
We love it.
We love it.
Yes.
We totally love it. It's clean, quiet, easy. There's a few toys to get used to. That we've had it for about a month, so we're still changing the nappies, as I said earlier on.
And it makes us feel virtuous.
Yes.
Sunday's gathering was to see if they could break Christchurch's recent record of 106 electric cars in one location. While Nissan's electrics were well represented, it was the inventive conversions of formerly petrol-powered vehicles that attracted more attention. And if you thought electric cars were a new fad, take a look at this baby, a 1904 electric carriage. This tiller-steered vehicle is the oldest electric car that's registered and warranted in New Zealand.
I've had a long association with antique vehicles, and in particular my employer has a 1918 Walker electric truck that we restored in 1980, and it was my interest in that restoration that got me interested in acquiring and becoming the owner of this very unique Baker electric vehicle.
On the open road, this car whispers along at a top speed of about 25 kilometres per hour, fast enough to pass the occasional surprised cyclist.
It motors around Wanaka at the Christmas time, and we park it in the supermarket, and when you come out you can always find where you parked your vehicle. There's plenty of people around it.
The end total of the day was 135 electric cars gathered in one location, well beating Christchurch's efforts and only 25 short of Auckland and New Zealand's record of 160. Rudy Adrian, The South Today.
Coming up after the break, North Otago Museum asks for help to identify some mystery objects, and a spring snowfall causes chaos in Central Otago. Welcome back. The Canterbury town of Hororata prepared for its annual Highland Games by holding a training day. The South Today went to talk to some of the athletes in preparation.
The small Canterbury town of Hororata has been holding the annual Highland Games for 6 years. Cindy Driscoll explains the event started as a community building exercise after the destruction from the Canterbury earthquakes.
It's brought a lot of the community together. It's given the community a really positive focus. It's given a fundraising platform to a number of different community groups who come to the games and raise money. There's improvements that are happening to the domain. We've got grandstand seating here, there's phone lines being put in, Kinetics have just put a big power system in so that we can run more stalls. So it's generally improving the facilities as well as actually the social side of the community.
The Games feature a number of heavy events, and former world champion Pat Hellier was happy with the progress the athletes were making during their weekend training session.
Everybody has improved from the get-go, because some of the people have never done the Highland Games before, so they've got basic stuff to start from, and they're improving already, which is good. Hopefully they get the bug and want to learn more.
Ashburton-based competitor Craig Manson is already planning for other Highland Games further afield.
I'll do Open in Hororata this year and slowly going up, and then hopefully just do the circuit at Scotland. So that's like ultimate goal, is just to keep on extending my contacts and gaining experience.
The 7th annual Hororata Highland Games will be held on Saturday, November the 11th. Rudy Adrian, The South Today.
Snow caused chaos in central Otago last weekend. A bus carrying 28 passengers crashed into a ditch on the remarkable Skifield Road. 5 people were injured in the crash and later discharged from hospital. Mena Amso reports from the snow.
Why the charter bus ran into a ditch on the remarkable Skifield Road on Saturday is not yet known. However, the 5 injured passengers have been discharged from hospital, while the driver is reported to have been left traumatised. The Remarkables got 65 centimetres of spring snow over the weekend, and elsewhere in the Lakes District there were also heavy falls of snow. Snow ploughs were out in Fernhill, Queenstown on Saturday morning. The snow didn't settle in Frankton. Conditions at times were pleasant and other times were wet and miserable. Near Arrowtown, the views of Lake Hayes and the Remarkables were obscured by heavy snow on Sunday. And at Coronet Peak, skiers and snowboarders embraced that late snowfall, with 30 centimetres added over the weekend and snow continuing to fall today. Despite some snow, the Crown Range remained open throughout the weekend, these tourists making the most of it. More snow is forecast for early next week. Nina Amso, The South Today.
Oamaru's North Otago Museum has uncovered some objects in its collection that have baffled the curator. They are asking the South Today's viewers for help in identifying them. The South Today went and had a look.
The North Otago Museum is undergoing a makeover of its exhibits, and some intriguing farm implements have been discovered in the collection. Museum curator Chloe Searle is asking for assistance in identifying some of these mystery objects.
I've been taking each item and just trying to find out what I can find out about it. We've had a couple of local farmers in with a lot of knowledge. We've had Burns Pollock and Jim Dennison in sharing some of their knowledge about some of the agricultural tools, which is a lot quicker than Googling them and a lot more fun. And we've been able to identify most of the items, which is fantastic, and separate them into groups, things that relate to the history of sheep farming locally, things that relate to the grain industry, some of the general farming things around fencing, controlling rabbits, that sort of thing. But we've still got a couple of items that have left everyone stumped.
This one has just been identified in the last few days as being a barbed wire maker patented by an Oamaru man in the 1880s. But this other one is still a bit of a mystery.
Looking at it, you can see that when it was going forward, it would have this blade on one option, or that you could flip it over and then use it on the other side with the disc. Some people have suggested it might have been used for planting trees out, or possibly for working with turf, cutting turf, but we haven't really got a definitive answer yet on what it would have been used for.
Searle is hoping that someone out there might have something such as an illustrated advertisement of this mystery object. Rudy Adrian, The South Today.
The annual Under-15 Girls Rugby Tournament was held in Dunedin this week. This year, 14 teams are taking part and are receiving encouragement from the World Cup winning Black Ferns. Roselle LeBone caught up with the team at Hancock Park.
Taking home this cup, the Women's Rugby World Cup, is the goal for these aspiring rugby stars. Today they're here at Hancock Park getting tips and tricks from some well-qualified mentors. I'm Roselle LeBone. The Black Ferns took New Zealand to victory over England 2 weeks ago in the Women's Rugby World Cup final. Now, for the first time since their win, the World Cup is here in Dunedin. 3 Black Ferns caught up with the under-15s at the park, home of the Pirates Rugby Club.
I started at Alhambra Union, under-10 schoolboys, and then came to Pirates when I was 14 and played the women's comp.
Despite dominating international women's rugby, the Black Ferns do not have full-time professional contracts or receive salaries.
We've had to balance both work and training, and when it comes time to paying for the Black Ferns, regardless of being paid, we go out and give it our all. But it'd be a great opportunity if the women were to be able to be paid to play the sport that they love.
But these young women are leading the charge for the future of professional rugby in New Zealand.
I reckon it's just the same as boys. They're a little tougher, the girls, because normally the boys think it's just a boys' game, but every sport is for everyone.
14 schools are taking part in the tournament, and even some male players turned up to scope out the competition.
They're pretty good, eh? Yeah.
Mayor Dave Cull has invited the Black Ferns to Dunedin for a public victory parade. The players have not confirmed when they will be back, but for now the World Cup is still Dunedin's cup. Roselle LeBone, The South Today.
Coming up after the break, hot air balloons test the winds in Alexandra, and the New Zealand men's netball champs in Invercargill are a success. Welcome back. Alexandra was to be treated to the sight of hot air balloons in action this week. The South Today went and found out what it was all about.
Hot air balloonists from the North Island set up at Alexandra's Pioneer Park yesterday morning in order to test the winds for a potential hot air ballooning festival to be held here June next year. Wellington-based hot air balloon pilot Howard Watson said that the winds were an issue.
The conditions at the moment are very variable. They keep changing. At the moment we've had winds coming from the north and from the south, all within a short period of time. So obviously that's a big issue when you're flying, because you don't want to be flying out of town in the wrong direction because there's nowhere to land. And so landing is a big part. We've got to make sure that we are able to land in a safe place so that the vehicles can actually get to us.
Watson said that once they were confident about wind direction, they had some good trips planned out.
Well, if it's a southerly, then we could take off from here and we could fly right up the valley. That's the idea. In a northerly, we'd probably drive up the valley and then fly back to Alexandra.
The balloonists are planning to spend the next few days doing some test flights in the Alexandra region. Rudy Adrian, The South Today.
Southland's men's netball hosted the New Zealand Championships at Invercargill's ILT Stadium this week. 18 teams, including 3 from Australia, were competing for the title over 4 days. Sharon Rees has more.
A tidy goal for the Southland Maroons. A not-so-tidy miss for Auckland's Tamaki Makoda. Still not quite enough for the Maroons to overcome a more polished northern side.
We did well. We're really happy with it. Some people thought it was going to be a lot worse, so we'll take it.
Southland lost by 11 points, but today was just day 1 of the tournament, which will see them face some of the 14 other national and 3 international teams. One of the first Trans-Tasman battles saw the Canterbury Masters steal a 31-30 win over the Australian reserves.
The boys fought hard, got back to level picking, but yeah, 1 goal in the end to Canterbury Masters, who a very experienced team.
The sport is growing on both sides of the Tasman, but Australian players and spectators say they don't have the facilities to match those on offer in Invercargill.
The courts are fantastic. These are courts, these would rival anything we've got at home. These are great courts. It's great space. The facilities in general, I think it's great. Not just the netball, but there's the squash, rock climbing, the velodrome's next door. Yeah, it's a great thing for Southland.
The stadium is great. So much seating, a lot more than we have in Australia usually. So yeah, this is really great.
And as with any Australia-New Zealand contest, there's some friendly rivalry.
Yeah, there was a few elbows here and there, a little bit of a rough and trouble, a bit of a don't talk to the opposition, but no, it's all good spirits and good sport. Yeah.
The tournament continues through the week, with finals scheduled for Saturday. I'm Sharon Rees for The South Today.
And finally, the Dunedin suburb of Green Island went to the dogs last weekend. At a canine ceremony, 60 people witnessed the marriage of a Chihuahua and a Shih Tzu. The South Today was there.
A Maltese Chihuahua named Louie and a Bichon Maltese Shih Tzu called Charlie exchanged bow wow vows and took each other's paw in marriage at a dog wedding on the weekend. Wedding celebrant James Morris managed proceedings while two pug dogs served as best man and bridesmaid.
These biscuits are perfect rectangles. They represent stability, symmetry and balance. It was my second dog wedding, shockingly. But no, cats would be fine. You know, any sort of pets. I don't discriminate by species. You know, humans or animals. I probably I should state that I'm a bit iffy about cross species. I'm not sure if I'd marry a cat and a dog, and I would certainly draw the line at marrying a pet with its owner. I am a bona fide celebrant, so in terms of real weddings, anyone that wants to do something that's a bit wacky or quirky, literally outside the box, then I'm the guy to talk to. Charlie trotted down the aisle, dressed head to paw in pink, to the sounds of Channel 39's own Daryl Baser. Otago Daily Times advertising features consultant and mother of the bride, Diane Hiku, got the idea for a dog wedding while watching the Housewives of Melbourne television series. She and colleague Matt Anderson, father of the groom and ODT online sales manager, saw a dog match made in heaven. The dogs are now off on their puppy pamper honeymoon. Meanwhile, the Channel 39 production of Love at First Sniff will be broadcast in late September. Roselle LeBone, The South Today.
That's all from us this week. You can go online and check us out on Facebook, YouTube and Twitter, or you can keep up with the Southern News via our website, channel39.co.nz. I'm Melissa Barton and thanks for watching.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.